In an era of great television which I embellish with fantasies, comic book properties, swords and sandals epics such as HBO's House of the Dragon, Prime's The Rings of Power, Showmax has placed its own sword on the table with a South African original fantasy epic titled Blood Psalms, with its first 2 episodes that introduces us into its mystic world that aims to be exciting and engrossing, as its premise centers on the prophecy which speaks of the end of the world, but its focus is painfully misdirected as it seems its sole aim is on style rather than substance. Let's review. This is a spoiler-free review.
In ancient Africa, 1,000 years after the fall of Atlantis, the 5 surviving tribes face another danger, a prophecy which speaks of the end of time. Blood Psalms takes you on a journey to a world where your tribal allegiance means everything. The Akachi king makes a deal with the god of magic, Heka, but soon realizes he has made a terrible mistake. To save himself and perhaps the world, he will have to sacrifice his daughter, Princess Zazie, on her 18th birthday. Meanwhile, the other tribes of the kingdom gather for King Lesha's wedding to an Uwachi princess, a marriage dreamt up by the scheming Queen Asili to cement her power over the kingdom.
Set in a fictional Asian Africa, Blood Psalms makes a decent and bold first impression in its first 2 premiere episodes that looks promising, sufficiently setting the stage for its steadily unraveling narrative mystery to play out. With magic, sorcerers, witches, dragons,
yes, you heard right,
angry god, and a chosen one. From the title sequence alone, you can already tell that Blood Psalms is not designed for a family sitting, as it is grotesque in its presentation, from blood, nudity, gore, and some dark elements. Episode 1 lays the tonal groundwork for the series, as it relays the mode of power, struggles, betrayal, politicking, and so on. The Akachi Citadel, which we spend most of the opening episode in, served effectively as the world's main community, one where anyone can be your enemy at the height of instigated turmoil, relative, servants, soldiers, and the likes. There's little action to speak of across Blood Psalms 2 episodes. The show possesses a heightened sense of maturity as it doesn't shy away from full frontal nudity from both male and female performers. But this is just some of the things that the show can confidently boast of. There's no tangible feeling that we are spending time with the people living in this world, and without spoiling anything, both episode 1 and 2 fails to give us an insight to each of the characters' background or motivation, given it's just the premiere episodes. One of the problems of Blood Psalms is that it doesn't feel entertaining for a show with said magnitude and scope that's also about the probable end of the world and how it affects everything. Less is given even about the 5 tribes in which it should have its telling on. The pace and self-serious nature might be a slight turn-off for some looking for a fun fantasy epic, but let's hope that things get a little more interesting and coherent as we settle in for the remaining episodes. Blood Psalms seems to require a lot from its actors in terms of performance, and in most of the parts they deliver to some extent. Others though play towards overacting. We also don't get to know and understand how some of these characters are, as they are mainly on the surface, as episode 2 picks up 18 years after the events of episode 1. The costuming of the show is applaudable, as most of the designs are rooted deep in the essence of old African leather, as some might seem like amalgamation of different cultures of the African continent. It is said that the Akachi costumes are partly inspired by the Benin bronze of the 15th and 16th centuries, but also the world around the same Akachi tribe seems like it borrowed heavily from Egypt, with Egyptian hieroglyphics and art that aren't reflective in the fashion of the Akachi tribe, who have them stationed everywhere, both interiors and exteriors. The visual language in its cinematography and camera dispensation is beautiful, with an abundance of tracking and steady cam shots combined with some decent amount of close-up to keep us with the characters as the story progresses. Some of the expositions which are delivered through dialogues are at times confusing and no effort to explore or explain any of them, and this is even after the second viewing of this episode. We don't get to stay with these characters long enough for us to be invested or truly relate to any of their causes, motive, or actions. Another district in which the show falls flat slightly in some of the ways it packs you with some exposition, dodgy CGI effects like the unnecessary dragon in the first episode, and the warrior costumes of the Akachi clan feels like they were designed by a grade 5 kid. The fight scene in episode 1 feels like a joke. It is poorly choreographed and shot, and then there is a case of some actors forgetting that they are being picked up by a camera and just stand there doing nothing. Anyone who enjoys fantasy pieces or shows with elements of medieval, swords and sandals, garnished with some blood and nudity, and has a patience for a slow burner and would want to see that in an African setting, might find something to enjoy. This is to say that the show might not be for everybody.
Rudely.
In the end, Blossoms Episode 1 and 2 is a show with an array of fantastical elements that it tends to keep unraveling as each episode goes by, with people plotting for power, curses, angry gods, dark secrets, and the end of all things. But its draggy pacing with lengthy scenes, on the surface characters, and convoluted execution matched with a little misdirection makes you skeptical for where the show is willing to take you. Its self-serious and mature nature may not be suitable for all, but it is a bold one which should be entertaining and worth its 1 hour plus runtime. But sadly, that isn't the case. It is not just that entertaining for now. So, what do you think of our review? Do you agree? Do you not? Check out Blossoms on Showmax and drop your take when you do. If you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up. For more movie and TV related content, if it's your first time, be sure to subscribe to Popcorn and Reels, hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we drop a new video, and remember, whoever you are, wherever you are, never ever stop watching movies or TV shows. Catch you guys soon. Peace. Come on, this dragon CGI, Not only does it look funny, cheap and small, but it's also giving this if gremlins had wings and fire breath.